Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Reepiron, and I recently put up a poll to see which Killing Floor 2 weapon you guys would like to see a video on. Well, I had about 300 votes within the first day, which is pretty awesome, thank you guys, and the majority of you voted for the Tommygun, which I was kind of surprised. I put up a couple different Commando related weapons in general, and the Tommygun won, which is a cross-perk weapon between Commando and Swat. So the main point of this video is to discuss how good the Tommygun actually is. And since it is a cross-perk weapon, it does have a good amount of utility. I did play this first with Commando, doing 4 rounds Hell on Earth. Now, the Tommygun can be acquired very early on, which makes it a pretty ideal weapon for early waves, and it's very good on particularly long games, so if you're playing 10 rounds, or if you're playing endless and you need a weapon sooner, the Tommygun does make a pretty good choice for Commando. It's the tier 2 weapon, it weighs 6, it holds 50 rounds in it, you get a lot of spare ammunition once you buy it, and it does reasonable damage. It does just as much damage as the AR-15, doing 30 damage a shot and having a maximum rate of fire of 720 rounds a minute, which is pretty good. You can do some pretty good DPS in the early waves with this. It's also Commando's best tier 2 weapon to pick, at least in early waves, because the bullpup is just not as good. The bullpup is better as a backup weapon if you're going with something like the minigun, whereas the Tommygun is a pretty okay weapon all the way around and does well in the early waves, especially for anybody who really hates the AR-15, which plenty of people do. And fair enough, the AR-15 does not hold nearly as many shots as the Tommygun. Tommygun holds 50 rounds, the AR-15 holds 20 rounds. The AR-15 is also burst fire or semi-auto only, whereas the Tommygun can be semi-auto or full auto. Now, the Tommygun doesn't have the best sights. I've said this a couple times in a few previous videos. It's kind of hard to aim this at any reasonable distance and fire it. The Tommygun also bounces around a good amount just from its recoil. Commando does have recoil reduction, which does help this, but the Tommygun still has quite a bit of base spread for both a submachine gun and an assault rifle. So early on, the Tommygun is a fantastic choice around, wave 2 to 3, and then keeping it maybe up to wave 5 in a 10-round map would be fine, where you're not really fighting anything big. Problem with the Tommygun with Commando is that upgrading it usually isn't worth it. It upgrades by 20% damage increments for each upgrade, and it gets additional weight. So it goes up to a max weight of 9, having 60% more damage. This is much less than the rest of your guns. Any of your guns fully upgraded will do more damage per shot than the Tommygun as Commando, except for the minigun and the stoner, because they're more for high rates of fire. That does put this kind of like a stoner, because you can build large clip magazines for this, use it pretty much the same way you use the stoner, but you'll be at 9 weight, so you're going to have to get something else with it. I paired this with a M16. The M16 is a fantastic weapon for 6 weight. And is just a really good gun overall. I did get Matriarch for the boss fight on this one, and I tried to use the Tommygun as much as possible, and overall I was rather disappointed with the Tommygun on Commando. I remember it being decent, and I think it still is for the early waves, but for the later waves and for boss wave, it is not what you want to be upgrading. It can still make for a decent secondary. I did recommend it in my Commando video of going with the Stoner and the Tommygun if you just wanted huge magazines to fire at anything. It works pretty well there, but unfortunately it's not worth upgrading at all. I wouldn't say that you should upgrade it whatsoever. Maybe if you're going with it and the medic assault rifle you could, but even then it's probably not worth it. The Tommygun was kind of disappointed on Commando, I'm not gonna lie. I felt more well off with the M16 unupgraded than with the Tommygun fully upgraded. So I did try playing this with Swat, and for Swat it fared a little bit better, I would say. You can still buy it early on, which is a good choice for Swat. However, with Swat, it's competing with 2 other tier 2 weapons. Now, yes, it does beat the MP5 in pretty much every category. The MP5 does bounce around less and is more accurate, but does less damage, holds less shots. The other weapon, though, that it's competing against is the Medic SMG. And the Medic SMG is not that far behind the Tommygun in pretty much everything. It also is much more accurate, and of course you can heal allies with it, which is going to be a big factor when picking between the Tommygun and the Medic SMG. The Tommygun fully upgraded on SWAT is one of their highest damaging weapons, at least per shot, not really per damage per second. It still goes up to a weight of 9, which is still kind of problematic. You can get any of SWAT's other weapons. I paired this with the nail gun, and again, was not surprised that the nail gun did way better. I think I upgraded the nail gun once if I could. And it was doing much better than the Tommy gun at pretty much everything. So I didn't really see a point in taking the Tommy gun with that loadout either. It seemed fine if you wanted to take it in the early waves, but again, I probably wouldn't because the medic SMG just exists and it's so much better. I also probably wouldn't see myself taking the Tommy gun later with SWAT all that often though, because you have the P90 and the P90 weighs less. If you want something that has a lot of bullets, you can just take that. P90 is also more accurate and bounces around less than the Tommy gun. So the Tommy gun was also not really all that great with SWAT either. I did try this one more time, playing it with Survivalist, and it was kind of unsurprisingly the best with Survivalist, but that's because Survivalist you can take anything else with it. So you can just buy this, and I only tossed a few upgrades into this and went with the 50 cal, the M99. And I have a feeling that the Tommy gun was not the reason why I was winning in those battles. Yeah, it does work against trash enemies. It's great at killing clots and crawlers and stalkers and all that. But it's nothing real spectacular once it's upgraded. It's nothing way great when you're trying to fight multiple enemies. Again, I don't see the reason why you would take this. You have better options, especially as Survivalist, than taking the Tommy gun. I said it was the best with Survivalist, but that's literally because you can take anything else, and Survivalist is better than SWAT and Commando in a solo setting. I would also kind of argue in a multiplayer setting too, but that's beyond the point. It's not really like the Tommy gun really helps you all that much. If you want a weapon that can kill small enemies quick as Survivalist, you do still have better options. You could go once again with the medic SMG. You could go with the medic AR. You could go with the P90, which is a better choice. You could go with a single Glock 18. All of those are better choices than the Tommy gun, and most of them are around the same price. So overall, the Tommy gun is kind of disappointing. I knew it wasn't really a top tier weapon, but it's feeling pretty weak right now. It feels like it needs a buff of some sort, either giving it new sights, giving it a higher rate of fire, lessening its recoil and accuracy, and increasing its accuracy, or just dropping the weight entirely, or maybe even upping the weight and giving it way more damage or something like that. It's probably best for Commando at early waves. That's pretty much where the Tommy gun will shine the most, because you're just going to get a whole bunch of ammo, you do decent damage, it's a definite upgrade from the AR-15. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Tommy gun. Not a great weapon, kind of towards the bottom in every class that it goes to, and I probably wouldn't take it as an off-perk weapon on any class. Tell me what your guys' thoughts are on the Tommy gun. I will be putting up more posts so that you guys can vote on whichever guns you would like to see next. I'll probably be doing something like a support weapon next, so I'll put up 3 or 4 of them. You guys can pick whichever one you like the most. And thank you guys so very much for suggesting this. I really do appreciate it. If you guys are new here, be sure that you're subscribed. That way you get notifications whenever I post any of these videos, and I will talk to all of you guys next time. Till then, stay cool, and bye.